Hi everybody. Today I am going to read to you a version of a very well-known fairy tale. But for this fairy tale, the author of this book puts this fairy tale in a totally different setting. Now, a setting is kind of where the book takes place, okay, where it's happening. And this book is called The Three Snow Bears by Jan Brett. And we can see from the setting that this is set in a very, very cold area. It's actually set in an area called the Arctic, where it's very cold, there's lots of ice, and there are certain animals that live in the Arctic, particularly polar bears. So, like I said, this is a story that you guys have heard before. You definitely know this tale. But Jan Brett, we know Jan Brett, right? Remember we read Gingerbread Baby back around Christmas time? Yeah, so Jan Brett, she takes a very well-known fairy tale, but she sets it in the Arctic. And in this story, our main character is a little girl named Aloki. So I'm going to read the story, and then I want to know if you figure out what story this is, okay? So this is The Three Snow Bears by Jan Brett. Okay, so we see this is set in the Arctic, and our main character lives in an igloo, and they are living on the ice, so there's a lot of ice fishing and ice activities. So The Three Snow Bears by Jan Brett. "Come back!" Aloki shouted as her huskies floated out to sea. Oh no! She knew that although an ice floe is a good place to fish, it is a bad place to lose a dog team. Not far away, a snow bear family had just started to eat their breakfast, but it was way too hot for Baby Bear. "Owie!" yelled Baby Bear. "My breakfast burned my mouth." "Let's go for a stroll and let the soup cool," Mama Bear said. Aloki was running along looking for her dogs when she came upon the biggest igloo she had ever seen. "Who lives here?" she wondered. Aloki ducked inside. Right away, she smelled something delicious. Across the room, she saw a big bowl, a medium-sized bowl, and a small bowl. Surely the good smell was coming from the three bowls. Aloki took a sip from the biggest bowl. "Ow!" she cried. Too hot. She took a sip from the middle-sized bowl. Ooh, too cold. She tipped up the littlest bowl and drank every drop. She said, not too hot and not too cold. In the next room, Aloki spotted 3 pairs of beautiful boots standing in a row. She put on the biggest boot. "Too big," she said. She put on the middle-sized boot. "Too fancy," she said. She put on the littlest pair. "Just right," she said, wiggling her toes in the soft fur lining. Aloki walked into the last room and found a long sleeping bench piled high with fur covers. Heat from an oil lamp warmed her cheeks and made her sleepy. Time for a nap, she thought. She crawled under the highest mound of covers. "Oh, too lumpy," she grumbled. She tried the middle bed with the furry fringe cover, but sat down so far that she could hardly breathe. "Too soft," she said. She rolled over into the smallest sleeping place. The furry blanket was cozy and warm, and the pillow was just her size. "Just right," Aloki murmured, and was asleep before she could take her boots off. If Aloki hadn't fallen asleep fast, she might have heard her dogs barking happily. Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear had spotted them adrift in the strong current and gone out to save them. The Snow Bear family was pushing Aloki's dog team back toward their igloo and safety. Papa Bear crawled into the igloo and saw his big bowl sitting in a pool of spilled soup. "Someone has been tasting my soup," he roared. Mama Bear rushed in and saw that her soup had been sloshed around too. "Someone has been sipping my soup," she growled. "Somebody found my soup," sputtered Baby Bear in her high squeaky voice, "and they ate it all up." Papa Bear ran into the next room and saw his boots in the middle of the floor. "Someone has been trying on my boots," he boomed in his big bear voice. Mama Bear put on her fancy boots. "Someone has had these boots on," she huffed, "and the fur is all bunched up." Baby Bear saw that her boots had disappeared. "Someone has taken my boots and left behind these not as good ones," she wailed. The bears ran into their bedroom. "Someone has been sleeping in my bed," Papa bellowed. "Someone has been sleeping in my bed too," Mama Bear cried. Baby Bear peeked at her tiny bed and squeaked, "Somebody has been sleeping in my bed, and here she is." Aloki opened her eyes and saw 3 bear noses only inches away. She hopped out of bed and dove between Papa Bear's huge furry legs. Quicker than a seal, Aloki ran from room to room until she burst outside. Her huskies bounced around, barking and smiling their doggy grins. Aloki and her dogs flew over the frozen ice, dodging ridges and cracks. She looked back to wave thank you to the snow bears. She couldn't see them, but she heard a big gruff voice, a middle-sized voice, and a high squeaky voice calling to her. Bye-bye. The end. All right, so that was The Three Snow Bears by Jan Brett. Like I said, this is a version of a really well-known fairy tale. Did you guys guess what fairy tale it was? Did you guess Goldilocks and the Three Bears? Well, if you did, you are absolutely correct. So Jan Brett, who is a wonderful author and illustrator, she took the very well-known fairy tale of Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and she wrote the book The Three Snow Bears, retelling that fairy tale. But she changed the setting. So instead of being set in the woods, like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, this was set in the Arctic. And instead of Goldilocks, we had Aloki. And then there were a couple of other little changes, right? Like in Goldilocks and the Three Bears, Goldilocks, right, she sits in all the bears' chairs, and then she breaks Baby Bear's chair. In this book, instead, she tried on their boots. Okay, and there were definitely some other changes as well. So I hope you really enjoyed The Three Bears by Jan Brett. Have a wonderful week, everybody.